What's up, guys? Welcome back to our podcast, The Court of Heaven and Hell. I'm Lauren, aka Heaven.
And I'm Ellie. I'm also known as Hel.
And if you don't already know, we are a book podcast that focuses on different romantasy series and novels. And today we will be covering A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen. This episode will include our ratings, reviews, thoughts about the book, and we will start with a spoiler-free portion before we get into our thoughts with full spoilers included.
Please see our show notes for content and trigger warnings. We are an explicit podcast for adults. Check out our past episodes. We have a ton of episodes out about different romantasy books. Lastly, take some time to rate and review us, or if you're watching this video on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comments.
All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into a basic summary of A Fate Inked in Blood. Freya is burdened by a secret that has her trapped in an unwanted marriage until the day she is betrayed by her own husband. When the Jarl forces her into a battle to the death with his son Bjorn, her secret is revealed and sets her on a new path to be the warrior she's always dreamed of. However, a long ago prophecy foretold of her and her ability to unite a nation, and everyone is after the opportunity to use her. If she wants to prove herself worthy and protect her people, Freya will have to learn to control her magic and fight not only her enemies, but her forbidden attraction to Bjorn. Okay, so I think going into this, the average rating, at least on Storygraph, is about a 4. I gave it a 4.5. I actually really liked this book. At first, I gave it 5 stars. I think I was in a haze after reading a couple of books that I didn't love as much. So then when I had time to reflect and go back, I did drop it down a little. I'm still giving it a 4.5. Keeping it in mind that it is the first book of a series, I really liked the setting, the difference between it and a lot of the fantasy books I read. It was like a totally different world. To me, it didn't really feel like anything I've read before with a lot of the aspects of it, which I'll go into a little bit later. So without spoiling anything, I did enjoy the love story between the two main characters. I'm very interested to see where we go from here. And I did like the female main character. She wasn't my favorite. She did some things that I feel so about, but also it is about a journey and her growth. And I am really excited to see about like where she's going to be headed in the story going forward. So yeah, overall, I did really like it. And I gave it a 4.5.
So, Lord and I have different opinions on this book, for sure. I'm going to give a tiny bit of background about me. Okay, so I fucking love Norse mythology. It's something I've always loved. It's a huge aspect of my life. Literally, my personal Instagram's name is Freya. I have a Freya tattoo. My cats are named Norwegian names. I'm obsessed. I love Norwegian mythology. So when I heard there was a romantasy book about Norse mythology, I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be fucking amazing. I'm gonna love it. And I didn't like it so much. So my rating is about a 3, which isn't terrible, but I just couldn't get into it. And I think it's because I had those high expectations going into it, knowing it was going to be about my favorite type of mythology. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like the romance. A lot of it was giving me I watched Vikings once and I'm going to write a fan fiction about it.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
that's trying to not be super negative. It is the first book. I definitely will still read the second book. Saw online that the author said in an interview that it's just going to be a 2-book series, which I think is good. I don't really know if it really needs more than that, but I will read the next one and hopefully the story develops more because it did leave off with a lot of unanswered questions. But yeah, so that's all I'm going to say right now, and then I'll get into more later after the spoiler-free section.
Right. And that's totally fair. I think that we have a different, I guess, level of knowledge. Like, I do love Norse mythology. I know enough about it, but I definitely haven't studied it, or it's not anything that I know, I would sit here and be like, I'm an expert about. So I do think just based off of what I have talked to you about and seen, in our Storygraph comment, I think that probably did have a lot to do with it. And then again, like I've said before in the last couple episodes, a lot of these books are just so hyped that when you go into it, you are expecting it to be like these, I don't even know, not life changing, but just like these books that like you're like, oh my God, everybody's talking about this. Everybody loved this. It's got to be good. It's going to be amazing. And then
Yeah.
sometimes, like, when it doesn't live up to that for you, it can really like taint your opinion of it. And that's why I think I've said it in a few episodes before, but I always just try to go into everything with, okay, this is what people are saying about it. I could like it. I could not like it. I do the same thing with not just books, but TV shows, music, things that people might hate. And then I go into it. I'm like, okay, a lot of people are hating this, but I'm still going to give it a shot and I'm going to be open and honest. Like a lot of times I end up agreeing and then sometimes I don't. And I like shit that other people don't like. And that's okay. And it's
Mhm.
okay if you don't like shit that everybody else likes. So with that being said, if you have been thinking about reading A Fake Eating Blood and you're questioning it, I would say give it a shot. Go ahead and read it. I really, really liked it. Ellie has mixed feelings about it, but I would definitely say if it's something that you're thinking about doing, at least give it a shot. To me, the middle is the slowest part. The beginning takes off pretty, like, I was into it from the beginning, and then I really liked the end as well. So, if anything, the middle is gonna get where it gets a little bit murky, but I would say at least pick it up, try to read it. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy it if you can get a copy of it some other way, go for that, but I really, really liked it, and a lot of people, I think, online are really liking it, and then I've seen other people that aren't, so I think our recommendation is give it a shot. It was okay. It wasn't complete crap.
I will say, if we weren't doing an episode about it, I don't know if I would have finished it.
That's fair. I felt that way about Light
I
Liar.
don't know.
If you hadn't read it and been like the ending,
Yeah.
I would have literally never finished it. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into our conversation that includes spoilers. So if you are thinking about reading it and you just wanted to know what we thought, now you know. But if you have read it and you want to stick around and hear our deeper thoughts and why we feel the way that we do, now would be the time for us to get into that. So spoilers ahead.
Spoilers. Okay.
So now that we're going to go ahead and talk about it, what did you like about the book?
I think the first few chapters were really good. It made me very excited for the book. Immediately, Freya meets Bjorn, and there's obviously tension. Getting a little bit more of her backstory was really awesome during those parts when you learn that she does have the blood of a goddess that she's been hiding her whole life. I liked that. But after kind of her
Really?
being with Snorri, whatever, kind
Yeah.
of it went downhill for me there. But the first few chapters I thought were really good. I just wish the whole book was maybe like those few chapters
Yeah.
because it was a really good setup. The setup was good. I obviously liked the setting of the book, even if it didn't really work out for me, for my own personal opinion. But I will read any type of book that is Norse mythology, romantasy. I feel like that's rare. So if anyone has any other book
Mm-hmm.
like with that, please let me fucking know. Please let me know because I would like to read another one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's pretty much it.
I really loved the world. It, like I said in the beginning, is so much different than any book that I've read before. I do know a little bit about Norse mythology, but I'm not super, super educated in it. I have watched more than one episode of Viking. I've watched a few different things. I have read some different books and stuff, but I'm definitely not as into it as Ellie is. So I knew that going into it. That being said, like, I did really love the world. One thing that I really loved about it is I did see something when I was like researching and getting more information on the book today that it was considered a dark romance, which I didn't think at all until like when I read it. But now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense to me because much like a lot of Greek mythology books that I've read, I would definitely say I know a little bit more about Greek mythology. There's no good people here other than like the main character herself. And even she is on a journey about who she's going to end up being. But there's no good, morally good characters in this book, as far as my opinion goes. Everybody kind of sucks. Everybody's got a ulterior motive. Everybody is an asshole. Her mom's an asshole. Her dead husband's an asshole. Her current husband's an asshole. His wife's an asshole. Bjorn ends up being an asshole. There's no good character where you would be like, oh, this is like a good standout character. And so that's something that I actually liked about the book. It's definitely a different perspective from books that I have read as of recent. There's usually always a character who's like the good character that you're supposed to be rooting for. But in this, it's really just no, everybody sucks here. If this was Reddit, it's getting an everybody sucks tag. But that didn't make me not like it. That actually made me like it. It made the characters more nuanced to me. They're not just, I don't know, they're just not like every other character I've read in a lot of books. And I don't have an issue at all with morally gray characters. I would definitely say there's some just morally bad characters and then there's morally gray characters, but nobody's really, in my opinion, that I can think of morally good. And so I actually liked that about this book. And then Freya, like I said, she is definitely on a journey and I actually am here for it. She is not my favorite character all the time. She does a lot of shit that gets on my nerves, but at the same time, she is growing. And when I stop and think about what she's gone through and just how every single person in her life is a piece of shit, I don't know. It's just kind of like, okay, what did I expect? I will say that's not always my favorite. And I will call out people when they do dumb shit and it gets on my nerves. And she, like I said, she was not my favorite character in this book, but I don't hate her. I don't have any ill feelings towards her. I definitely hope that she does better in the book, in the next book. If it's going to be the only other book, I hope that I get to see a little bit of growth from her. But then a lot of things started to make sense when we get the twist at the end and we find out that she actually is the child of hell, where her anger, where her rage, the different decisions that she's making, like how those might be influenced by things that she didn't even really know about. So I found that really, really interesting. And I liked that. I did really like the magic system in this book. It's so different than anything I've ever read before. The children of the gods have these powers, but they're limited in a way. They're not just like these all powerful, can keep going and fighting and pulling on magic people that can do all these things. There's limits to everything. And then the political kind of system of the book, like, really interested me. It's just different. It's like I said, the whole Viking setting and rules and the way that they used to be kind of just, hey man, we kill for what we like, what we want. That's just how the Vikings were. And so I liked that aspect of it. And I did like the main male character. So I was here for the romance and the tension between the two leads.
Dude, part of me almost would say that this is more historical romance than it is romantasy. There's some magic in this book, but it's not the main thing.
It's definitely not. Yeah, that's what I meant by like the magic system's so different than anything else I've read, because it's, yes, all these people have powers and whatnot, but it's kind of like, I know you've never read it, but for those of you that have read the Outlander series, if you like the Outlander series, I'm obsessed. I love it. And it's very much, technically, it is kind of fantasy and it's romantasy, but at the same time, the fantasy element of it is very limited and it's mostly just about historical kind of period in time. And so I would say it's like that if you were going to compare it to something else, where it's about more about Outlanders, more about the Scottish culture and a very specific period of time where she travels back to. This is like doing that without, it's just like elements of fantasy. I wouldn't say that that's the main focus by any means. But yeah, good point. When I saw that it was written as a dark fantasy, I was like, that's really interesting. Because when I was reading it, I definitely didn't think that. And I have read a lot of dark romance books and I've read dark fantasy, and this isn't dark fantasy like that. But it is interesting how, like I said, there's not really there's not like a hero in this story as far as I'm concerned. Freya's trying to be, she wants to be. I think that's her ultimate goal. She is trying to be a good person, trying to protect her people, but she's got some work to do if that's going to be the case. And yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It was different for me. And I was here for it.
I'm so upset that I ended up not liking Freya.
Yeah. Hey,
because I'm like, okay, again, like Freya's my favorite goddess of all time. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I saw a little bit earlier on in the book. I'm like, it was obvious to me that there's two different goddesses involved when she gets the tattoo. She doesn't get one, she gets two. Everyone's kind of like, oh, what is that? And I'm just like, okay, there's another goddess. And I was like, maybe it is Freya, or she's blessed by Freya, or she is the actual goddess Freya, because I did think using the name Freya as the main character was kind of weird for me. It was just like top 10 Norwegian name that they just use Freya. But I'm hoping like maybe in the second book, we find out that maybe she does have some kind of connection to Freya, even though her mom said that she doesn't.
Yeah. No,
I'm hoping for it. I feel like it would make so much more sense. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with her being the daughter of Hel.
I'm
because they're painting Hel to be this terrible god.
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Interesting. I didn't get that they were painting her to be this
Well,
terrible.
I think that the voice to me when I was reading it, I think the voice that she was hearing in her head saying, "Don't turn around, we need to kill all these people." I'm pretty sure it was Hel the whole time, and I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I don't know. I feel like her having that rage too is
Mhm.
also from Hel, which
Oh,
makes
yeah.
her end up killing a lot more people.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if she's going to denounce Hel or find a way where she can balance it because obviously, like, one page, like, she wants to be a good person and turn around and help out. But then on the other hand, she's not like, fuck all these people. I'm gonna kill all these children's parents because I'm angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Struggle.
For me, I don't know. I didn't feel that way because I'm like, they're here to take her. They're here to use her and to hurt her. They're hurting the people that she loves. It makes sense to me. It's war. And these are Vikings. They do worse for less. If it like, I guess, is my thought process. Like, so I don't know. I guess when I was reading it, like, I didn't feel that way, which is so interesting because I'm definitely usually the person that likes the morally, like, I'm on the more morally righteous side as far as my
Mhm.
main character goes. I can like a villain and appreciate a villain, but I usually will be rooting for the hero. But in this situation, I guess maybe it's because there is no hero, but Freya didn't. I don't know. I was just kind of like, fuck those
She's like
people. They came to
she's the
your
closest
village.
thing.
Hmm?
Should I say she's like the closest thing to the hero,
Yeah,
I would say.
she's,
Also, she's
yeah.
just main character, but
Yeah, that's true. She definitely is the closest thing to a hero in this book, I would say, because at least she's like
mhm.
spouting about wanting to be a good person, wanting to protect
Yeah.
people. But yeah, no, it's just interesting to get another perspective because I wasn't even thinking that. The whole time in my mind, all I really care about is I really hope that Snorri gets killed at some point. Like that's all I care about. I just want him to die. And that's it. I just want Freya to be the baddie she was meant to be, and I want to see Snorri die, and I want her to be with Bjorn. That's pretty much it. I don't want her to be some evil person and just start killing people for no reason. But I guess when I think about it, I'm like, is she killing people for no reason? Because these people did try to take her and use her, and they're acting out on orders against a person who doesn't necessarily have her best interest in mind. Neither does Snorri, but like, you get what I'm saying. So I don't know. But that's interesting. That is very interesting. I love how in my mind I wasn't even I was like, oh, she's a child of hell. Cool. Like, cool. I hope she gets some more badass powers that she could use in the next book and fuck them up. Because all we've seen her do so far is protect people. And so I'm interested. No, that's not all we've seen her do. We've seen her kill a lot of people too. But as far as like her people and the people that she cares about, we've only seen her use her shield made in power and then just get like really mad. But she didn't use her powers to do anything insane yet. So I want to see more of the ability she
Yeah.
gets from Hel.
Same.
Yeah.
Me too. Me too. I just want her to not make just like stupid fucking choices. That's just what was getting me the whole time. I was just like, girl, what?
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I get it. I get
Hopefully the next she has some growth with her choices. Cause
Mhm.
but anyway,
Yeah. Now there was some things where I was just like, I need you to put two and two together, girly, because to me, I know that you felt, I guess like it was predictable, but in my mind, I felt like we were being set up. I don't think she was like trying to hide the fact that there was two goddesses. I think that we were being led in that
mhm.
direction. So I didn't call it predictable, but that's just for me. I feel like that was the journey that we were on. But the whole time, like I was thinking that because I'm over here, girl, why are you so stuck on Ilva and Snorri? As much as I hate Ilva, oh, pay attention, use your brain. What's happening
God.
here? And so I'm like, we know this. Think about it. We know this. We know this. I need you to start putting two and two together. To me, I didn't take that as it made it predictable. I just took that as Freya is being like, she's still young. She's got a lot to learn. She needs to like start to come out of this whole, I've got to keep this deal and this contract. And I need you to like start utilizing what you got up here and like standing up for yourself, basically.
So the reason why I said this book is predictable because it was obvious for me that Bjorn was like the spy or
Mhm.
whatever on the other side. It was driving me fucking crazy that you learn, I think it's like literally 50% in when she goes to check out where Ilva and Bjorn are. She sees someone like
Oh, yeah.
talking, like king or whatever. And I'm like, okay, it's Bodhi and Ho fucking power is like truth. And Ilva's like, no, it wasn't me. You would think.
Yeah.
You would think it'd be like, oh, hey, maybe it's this guy. And then, oh my God, but the part that really got me was when her and Bjorn go to go see her mom. And it was like, okay, I'm going to tell everyone else, the artist in your room, because you need time with the gods or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like, someone sold me out to King Harald, and now they're going to go kill my mom. She's like, the only other person who knew was Ilva. It has to be her. I'm like, girl, there's 3 people that know.
Yeah.
Ilva, you, Bjorn.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many little clips.
Yeah.
I was hoping that wasn't going to be the ending twist, and it was. And I didn't see his mom being alive coming, but I was just okay about it. Like, I don't know. So I hate that was like the twist of the book, because I was like, I feel it was really alluded to throughout the second half. And yeah, I don't know. It's reminded me a lot of the plot of another book that was really overhyped, in my opinion, and I'm not liking it.
Okay.
I don't want to say which one it was for people who haven't read it, but you might know.
Yeah.
It was like the same fucking ending. You find out the guy is the traitor, and then the person is still alive. And I'm just like, okay, well then.
I guess that for me, I just didn't see it like that. And so it's really interesting. I knew Bjorn was the traitor the whole time. And to me, that wasn't the twist at all. Now, I will say that I think you did figure out that Hel was the other goddess, possibly the way before. So maybe that's why that didn't seem a twist to you. But for me reading it, the twist was not that there was another goddess, because I saw that coming. That was laid out. And it wasn't that Bjorn was the traitor, because I saw that coming. It was clearly laid out, in my opinion. It was the fact that his mom was still alive. So we have a whole storyline of what is going on with Snorri and what really happened with Harald and Snorri and his mom, and the prophecy, and then B, that Hel was the second goddess and not Freya or any of the other goddesses or whatever. Because like, I will say, like, even though I knew that it wasn't just Hilm or Helm, however you pronounce it, that she got her gifts from or whatever, I knew there was another goddess, but I felt like she told us that. So I wasn't looking at that as, oh, this was predictable. Like I said, also, I feel like Freya not knowing that Bjorn was a traitor wasn't so much of, oh, this is like something that like we're not supposed to be able to figure out as readers. I took it as more of, this is Freya not being so naive and so in love with Bjorn that she can't see past what's right in front of her. So it's more of a testament to Freya and where she's at in life and her mentality, to me, than it was meant to be this shocking twist at the end. So that's just really interesting, because I just have a different perspective about it. And maybe that's because I realized like very early on that Bjorn was obviously involved. It was obvious to me. Yeah. So obvious to the point where it's like, I didn't even cross my mind that we weren't supposed to know. I just felt like it was supposed to be. I don't
know if we're supposed to know.
I feel like we were. I feel like she made it very obvious. And so I feel like to me, it was more of a fact of Freya, I don't know. Freya doesn't know. And she can't put it together because she's got these blinders on when it comes to Bjorn, this guy that she's not supposed to. But also, I just felt like there was a lot of things. For me, when it came to Freya, she was so worried about like the marriage pact and the deal that she made with Snorri. I'm like, girl, Bjorn applies to this pact that you made. If you pay attention, like whatever it was, it was like my blood. It's Bjorn is his blood. So it's, I don't know, like in my mind, there's just like a lot of Freya being naive and where she's going to go going forward. But yeah, no, I really seeing a different perspective of that. I just like, when I was reading it, I didn't get that because I just knew early on that Bjorn was the person. I was like, it just makes sense. I did not expect his mom to be alive. And I did not expect Hel to be the goddess, the other goddess. So those were the two things that like twisted me at the end.
I think if we were supposed to know that he was the traitor this whole time, that makes me like really think. I don't know, it makes me like not even like Freya anymore. Because I'm like, girl.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, Bjorn, what the fuck? There were so many times you could have told her.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. He was driving me fucking crazy. I really wanted to like him too, because I've seen so many people online be like, he's my new favorite book boyfriend.
Yeah.
Bjorn, come on, man. I'm like, you could have told her before y'all had sex. And of course she has to find out by mistake, where he doesn't get a chance to tell her before. But like when she was about to leave him after the cave And she was like, you have to tell me all the shit that you keep telling me that you're hiding, but you won't tell me. She's like, I'm gonna fucking leave. And then she leaves and runs into the fucking king. And he's just like, thank you, Bjorn. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, that part.
Bjorn, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was like kind of like, dude, get it together.
Communicate, bro.
I did feel part of the reason that he wasn't telling her is because he, in his mind, really thought that he could convince her to leave with him and then not have to tell her. Obviously, he's an idiot and he's definitely morally gray in the aspect of you were wittingly hid this from her. But I think, like, motive wise, he didn't want her to know that. And I think that his plans changed when he met her. Like, he wasn't expecting to fall in love with her. He wasn't expecting for things to go the way that he did. So when he got to the opportunity to get her away, he wasn't like, I'm not going to tell her this and ruin my chances of like her trusting me. I'm going to try to get her, convince her to run away with me. And it just ended up not working out for him, which it's like, why would you think that you really had lofty expectations to think that you were just going to get away with that? But at the same time, I don't know. I just didn't. I think that he lied because he thought he could get away with lying to her, if that makes sense. Like, I think he did it on purpose, basically. Not just, why didn't you tell her? It's not, he intentionally didn't tell her because he thought he could convince her to go away with him and he wouldn't have to tell her.
That makes me not like him. But hopefully in the second book, he has a little bit of redemption. Because I
Yeah.
will say the other book I was talking about, which I'm not going to say the name again. But the second book had a really big redemption to the main male character that I didn't really like in the first book. And now, like, I really like him. So we'll see. Okay, last thing I want to say, I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm shitting on this book and I feel bad. But I think for me, it was slow.
Yeah.
It was just slow. It was a slower book. There was like some aspects I liked about it, like different scenes and stuff. But other than that, it was a little bit slower than what I would prefer.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. I didn't have as many things that I didn't like about the book, but I definitely had that the story dragged in the middle. And the beginning starts off with a bang, pretty much. Like,
it's so good at the beginning.
So good. She's in this relationship that she hates.
Yeah.
This guy betrays her. She's got to fight to the death. She gets her burned. She kills her husband. So many fucking things.
Period.
Her brother betrays her. So many things happen. And then it starts to go downhill a little bit. And like pretty much from when they go into the mountain, it gets really, really slow all the way up until like probably right before when they're having that like last battle and she starts like going crazy and Bjorn tries to get her away. And then what ends up happening, basically, we find out the twist and all of that. So I agree that in the middle, it was definitely a little bit of a slower book. I did listen to it mostly on audio, mostly because I just really liked the narrator and the fact that she was like using the Norwegian accent and the way that she was reading it. But I will say that, yeah, definitely that made it easier. But even then the middle was not nearly as good as either the beginning or the end. I don't know. It is a first book. I'm excited to see where we're going to go from here. Apparently it's just going to be a duology. I'm totally fine with that. I just hope that it has a good ending and a good outcome for the next book because I did like this and I am like very curious as to where it would go again. Now, that being said, is it a 5-star read for me? No, I didn't give it 5 stars. It was good. It's one that I don't know if I'll revisit or not. Like, I probably will re-listen to it or reread it before the next book comes out, depending on how long that is from now. But yeah, like it was good. I liked it. I really liked it. So now that we've talked about what we liked and what we didn't really care for about the books, let's go ahead and talk about some of our favorite characters, moments, quotes. I loved Bjorn. I know that you didn't, so this is hilarious. And it's okay. Yeah, no, this is funny. And this book, he's definitely my favorite character. He stands out to me as far as like his personality. I liked him a lot more. A lot of the things that he said and did made sense to me because obviously I understand that he had an ulterior motive. I really liked him. I liked his sense of humor. I thought that his banter and his game was pretty good. And yeah, I like the way that he treats Freya because I just feel based off of what we find out about, like I said in the very beginning, like how shitty literally every single person in her life is. I'm just happy to have somebody who's actually got her best interest at heart and is actually looking out for her, even if he's lying to her. I do believe that he like genuinely wants the best for her. He wants to protect her. He doesn't want her to fall victim to his shitty father. He sees that her brother's a piece of shit, doesn't treat her right. Her mom's a piece of shit, doesn't treat her right. like her ex-husband was a piece of shit, didn't treat her right. I think that genuinely, like, she needed somebody in her life that, like, was looking out for her. And even though she might not be able to see it right now, I do personally feel like Bjorn did have her best interest in mind and did really care about her. So I did like that. One thing I forgot to mention in the did not like part was that I did really feel like, or maybe I did say this, I don't remember, but there wasn't a whole lot of characters that I cared about other than the two main characters. And maybe that's part of why you had such a hard time. Because if you didn't really like either of the main characters, there wasn't really a whole lot of other shit going on that you could. And there was a couple other characters that maybe I liked and cared about, but they either weren't big enough parts or they didn't last very long. So,
Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty much it when it comes to characters. Freya, like, I didn't hate her. She's young and naive and she's got some growing up to do. So I'm interested to see what she's like in the next book.
I think the only character I really liked Bodhi, but of course she fucking died. I
Yeah.
was like, really,
I
bitch?
liked her too.
This old badass Jarl with silver hair who's just a bad bitch. And she fucking died. Like, like, really?
Yeah.
Please, why did that have to happen? So yeah, I wasn't like upset about her or anything. I was just like, okay, whatever, this bitch is dead now. It
Yeah.
fucking sucks. But
Yeah.
I was so upset. I liked her a lot. I liked when she was like, you don't need to train with men, you need to train with women. I was like, period.
Yeah.
Literally, period. Like,
Yeah. She
I really
like
liked her. And
and her
then she
power
fucking
even.
died.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. But she
God
died.
damn it. She died quickly. I was like, she died just because of a mistake that happened. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's how this bitch is.
Mm-hmm.
This like badass Jarl who's in charge of some fucking people just fucking died because Freya absolutely tripped.
Oops.
Anyway, I also really liked when Freya killed Froggy. That was slay.
I loved that part. I loved that part. That part was like the best part of the whole book. I won't lie to you. That whole scene from it's like the first 10 chapters of this book. I want to say 10, I'm guessing. But pretty much from the time that the book starts to the time where she goes to marry Broggy, that was definitely the best part of this whole book for me. I did from finding out that her husband was a piece of shit, but the way that she was like standing up to him and talking to him, to her, us getting to see the kind side of her and the fact that she does really care about throwing the fish back into the ocean when Broggy is a piece of shit and pulls them all up on land, to Bjorn running into her, to the Jarl riding up when she's hanging out with her brother, and then her having to fight Bjorn. All of that was definitely really, really good. And like we've said, it slowed down after that and it didn't really pick up again until the end. So yeah, I would definitely say that those are like my favorite moments too, that whole first part. What do you think that you want to see from the next book, or even any prediction for the next book?
Okay, so I want to see more of the gods and their powers. I want to see more of the children of the gods because I want to meet more of them. Okay, like we only really got a few. We got, I guess technically Hel and Lynn, and then we got Tyr and Thord.
Mhm.
I can't think of any other ones we got, but I'm like, I want to see like someone be like, I was hoping low key like a little bit that someone was gonna be the traitor. Obviously, it was Bjorn, but if it wasn't Bjorn, I was like, what if the traitor is like someone who is blessed by Loki? That would be like such
Like the trickster?
that'd be very on point. Very on point.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping there is like something else going on. But anyway,
No, that would
I just
totally
want to
make
see more
sense.
of the god. In general, my prediction is for Bjorn to become the fucking king. He's gonna end up killing anyone who opposes him.
That's also my prediction, just because I feel like that's what the prophecy said. I think that if anything, Freya is going to be the one who has to battle her tendency to be a little bit violent and vicious. But I do think that Freya and Bjorn are going to end up together. And I think that Bjorn is the one who controls the Shield Maiden and that he's going to end up being king because.
I hope she breaks away from that prophecy.
Why?
Of her being controlled by a guy.
Oh.
Because her whole thing is her whole life, like she has been controlled by other people. So I think it would be like a really good ending if maybe she finds a way to break the prophecy and she's no, I'm actually, what if she becomes the fucking ruler?
definitely possible.
It could she controls her own fate. That would be fun. I would like that ending actually, because that's very much like that would make fucking sense because like, the Vikings allowed women to be in power.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be a good ending. I hope she's the one who goes in power and it's not Bjorn
Yeah.
100%.
No, that's fair. Imagine that the prophecy is going to be Freya and Bjorn. You end up together even after where we left off in the last book, and they're going to end up ruling together. That's my final prediction. But I wouldn't be mad if it ended up being what you said. At the same time, though, I actually like Bjorn and Freya, so I don't necessarily want them to not be together. I wouldn't be mad
Well,
if that happened.
I meant at least he's not in control of her. It's more like she is in control of herself because that's what she needs.
Mm-hmm.
But she's all these fucking men her whole life telling her what to do, like how she has to act. She has to do this for them. And if she is able to break that and have control of her own fate, I think that would be really badass.
Yeah, I would love that for her, and it's what she deserves, and it's what should happen. I don't see Bjorn trying to control her in that way, just based off of what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
He does try to talk to her, and like a lot of times in this book, he says, "It's your decision. I will follow you." And so I could definitely see that being a thing, because even though she keeps making dumb decisions, he's just, "Hey, man, it is what it is. I'm telling you what I think you should do. I'm giving you advice, but at the end of the day, it's your decision, and I will walk through the gates of Valhalla with you if that's going to be what the fuck it is." So I hope that kind of rings true, and that it ends up being more, like you say, like it will end up being more they rule, but they rule together, and not so much like the person who controls the shield maiden. I'm taking that to be more as the person who has her heart, basically, not literally controls her like Snorri's trying to do. And also, I hope that Bjorn ends up killing Snorri, because that's all I really want to see.
Snorri's so
I fucking hate
annoying.
him.
So
I
annoying. I'm like,
hate him.
bro, really chill out. Like, literally calm down. Like,
He's a piece of
hate
shit,
him.
dude.
He's so annoying.
I thought he was a piece of shit from the beginning, but when we get back to the village and I find out that he's already married, and then the wife, like that whole situation, I was like, dude, I hate this man. I hate him. He's so power hungry and so obsessed with this whole situation that I cannot stand him. Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely want to see a little bit of not even a little bit. Like I want to see Bjorn literally kill him, or Freya. I would be cool with Freya killing him too. Like on the battlefield.
Same. I wonder if that was gonna happen with Ilva.
Me too. But I
feel like she might have a redemption, low key.
she might. I could see where they were already going towards that with the whole her like begging and when Freya was like, "You betrayed me." But what I do need to know at this point is what the fuck actually happened. What happened? Because we don't actually know what happened.
Yeah.
Because his mom's alive. I need to know like how we actually got to this point. Obviously, I'm thinking we're going to figure it out in the next book, but knowing it's only a duology, I'm like, this is going to have to be a lot that gets resolved in the next book. So I'm very interested about that. I'm hoping that because of that, it'll be a little bit faster paced. So we'll see. But
Same. I'm having a hard time understanding the person she kept seeing, and they said it was Bjorn's mom in the afterlife, pretty much. But like, she's alive. So I'm like, is she seeing her? Someone else then?
are you talking about like the person that the guide that she keeps seeing?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think that was, did they say it was Bjorn's mom?
Mm-hmm.
I never
Like
got that.
like Snorri said that it was her.
Snorri was talking out of his ass this whole book.
But everyone thought it was her. So that's why I was like, oh, because they were saying that she's the one who had the prophecy that there was going to be the shield maiden.
She is.
And so everyone thought it was her. And I'm like, okay, cool. And like this person who keeps appearing obviously is not someone who is alive. They're floating through like a purgatory. And so I'm like, okay, but it can't be his mom then.
No, it's not his mom.
I have a theory. I think it's Odin.
That would make sense. I thought it was a god the whole time.
Makes sense.
I did not remember.
It has to be Odin because Odin's known as the Wanderer, and he appears to people like that.
That would make a lot of sense.
Like, it has to be Odin because I'm like, when is Odin going to come through? Because like, he's going to fucking pop up at some point. Like at least someone's blessed by him, or he's that fucking figure she keeps seeing, which would make sense. So I'm betting it's Odin. And I also would bet that somehow the actual goddess Freya, who's also known as Frigga, who is Odin's wife, is going to also be involved
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I definitely see that happening. And I really do hope that, like you said, one big wish for me is that we get to see more of the gods in the next book. That would be really cool. I would be fine with that. But yeah, no, obviously it can't be his mom, like you said. So definitely more aligned with it being a god and Odin. Odin makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense. But yeah, guys, those were our thoughts on A Fate Inked in Blood. Definitely a lot of potential in the next book, regardless of how either of us felt about this one. We're both looking forward to see what happens next. We do hope that you did enjoy our episode today, and we will be covering the next book when it comes out. Next week, we will have a fun episode on the Massverse to ease our way back into the universe of Sarah J. Maas. Please feel free to email or DM us any other romantasy books or series that you'd like us to cover, and check out some of our other episodes if you have not done that yet. Finally, again, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Or if you're listening on a podcast platform, please take some time to rate and review us. It really helps us out. And either way, share us with your bookish friends and give us a follow over on our socials at TikTok and Instagram. We love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And as always, we want to leave you with a quote. So today's quote is, "Not all scars we earn are skin deep, Freya born in fire. There is no less honor in them." All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.